I've discovered a powerful psychological trigger inside of every creator's audience that unlocks explosive growth. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the exact 6 steps that helped Thomas Graham go from zero to $41,000 per month and beat out over 14,000 communities in Alex Hormozi's school games. Okay, and this all starts with market research. So let's get right into it. Starting with number one, should you even do market research? Most of the time, 99% of the time, the answer is yes. And why is that? Firstly, you want to create a hypothesis that you can test. So, a hypothesis of the offer that you're going to create and structure. So, as a creator, you should have some sort of transformation. Maybe you've had multiple, but you want to pick one that you think your audience is going to resonate with the most and just kind of build an offer of what you're going to sell kind of in your head. Like, you should have a general idea, and this market research is going to confirm and really dial in what you're going to be selling and who you're going to be selling it to. And so first off, another thing is it's going to test market demand. Even just depending on, based on how many people fill out the market research form that you're going to do, that's a good gauge to see how strong your brand is and how much people resonate with you. Because if you have like 10 responses, then clearly people don't care enough about you yet to actually want to buy something from you or even give you feedback for something. So that's something to keep in mind to test market demand, and I'll get into even how you test that even further a little bit down the line on one of the next steps. And what this also allows you to do is you basically have infinite content, because when you do market research, what you're doing is you're understanding who you're selling to, and we're gonna create an avatar. We're gonna go super in depth with AI later in this video to really be able to find out what stops that person from sleeping at night, their pains, desires, all this stuff. And so you'll be able to know exactly who you're messaging, and it's going to make content a lot easier because you're always going to be able to speak to someone's pains, struggles, desires, and really just resonate with them. Because at the end of the day, someone will resonate with you based on how much you understand them. So this is going to really help you with content, and like I've seen with my client Thomas, it's been really helpful to know exactly who we're targeting, and they resonate with you more, they trust you more, and then they buy from you. And so obviously we're going to create this avatar together later in this video. So on to step two. So framing your market research, you want to ask for feedback, um, and you want to offer incentives. So just, you can frame it in a way as, hey guys, I'm building something for you, either on like a story or YouTube post, and I want your help with something. And people actually like to be asked for help because it makes them feel important. So if you kind of frame it in that way, obviously if they're not helping you build a house or something, that's a little too much help, but just a little help, like if you frame it in that way, people want to help you. And especially if you add some sort of incentive, right? You can give them early access. Some sort of lead magnet would also be good, just something to reward them for helping you. And then you're going to get more people to fill it out, and obviously you're going to get more data. So another thing is, a lot of what I've seen with a lot of creators is they'll ask price. So they'll ask like, hey, how much would you be willing to pay for something like this, right? People are always going to be cheap, and they don't understand the true value of what you're offering it because you don't have an offer yet, right? So it's important not to ask that question, and I'll show in a little bit later in the video how to actually qualify without seeming like too salesy, and kind of doing it in a subtle way. Because your sales process, this is technically a part of your sales process, and so you want to keep it very subtle in how you're qualifying. Okay, number three, it's important to understand what information you're going to be collecting and why. Because you could collect just an email, that's going to offer the least resistance. However, you're going to have the least like personability. Let's say you email them, you don't have their first name, so right there you're at a disadvantage. You might have more emails, but you're going to be able to sell less, because if you have someone's first name included in an email, they're more likely to open it, and it's going to feel more personalized. And another thing is, you might contemplate whether you want to collect a phone number or not, because that's more friction into that's more friction into the type form, so into the feedback form. And so you want to reduce that as much as possible, but I would highly suggest a phone number if you want to collect cash as fast as possible, which I'll get into in the last step. And so yeah, so collect first phone number, first name, phone number, and email. And then you're going to need some automations and backend tools. So what I recommend is using, if you're not familiar with Zapier, it's basically a way to send information from one place to another. So you can use Zapier to send the information and the responses from Typeform to Slack, where you can have a channel that says, hey, this person filled out the form, and then it says they're qualified or whatever. So you'll kind of understand who's qualified and who you can actually sell early on, right? So that's one of the important things. And you can also, forgot to add this here, GHL. This is important if you want to have a CRM, customer relationship management software, where you can create a pipeline, and you also want to zap in those people. So those responses, zap them into a pipeline, and now you're going to have a pipeline stage to where you're going to understand, okay, this person filled out, they're qualified, they filled out a qualified application, this person's disqualified, let's contact the qualified person. So it lets you visually see where people are in the sales process and just kind of if people are qualified or disqualified. And then obviously you also want to do email marketing. So what I would recommend is ActiveCampaign. I've used Kit and Beehive as well, but I prefer ActiveCampaign because as a marketer, you have a lot more analytics and data to be able to make improvements. So that's why I really like that. Kit is really just for creators, or ConvertKit. They like rebranded, but yeah, I recommend ActiveCampaign, to be honest. And then for the application software, I would just use Typeform. It's clean. You can create your branding around it. You can like add custom colors, logos, stuff like that. Most of the time I would recommend that. If you have like a, I don't know, if your brand is like known for being very, I don't know, not that clean, I guess, or like not that great, you could use like Google Forms. That could work, but I really wouldn't recommend that. That's the cheaper alternative if you really want the cheapest option, but I would highly recommend Typeform as it looks more professional and it's better in my opinion overall. Okay, so now we're gonna go over the key questions to ask, right? So there is the first question I would start with is this your first time trying X? So X obviously in this situation would be the vehicle of transformation. So let's just say like, is this your first time, not even the vehicle, but actually the outcome? Is this your first time trying to make money online? Is this the first time trying to lose weight? Is this the first time trying to, I don't know, fix your relationship? So it's not the vehicle of which you get them there, but it's the outcome that they want. And so you want to gauge the sophistication level of the market, whether they've tried the thing, they've tried the thing, or they're completely new. So I gave you some options. You can make this question a bit longer just to like obviously give it a little more context, but you want to ask this, and then you can ask these like you can give these options. So yes, I'm completely new to X. I've never tried anything. No, I've tried other things, but none of them have worked out. Or no, I've gotten X with other things before, so maybe they've even gotten results. And then you can do logic in Typeform, which is also why I recommend it. So let's say someone says, if they've tried something else, no, I've tried other things, but none of them worked out, then you can have a separate question that just goes to the people that answered B, and then it'll ask them what they've tried, what else they've tried. So again, it's going to give you the market sophistication level, which is really important in your messaging, because you want to be able to understand, okay, who is actually going to be, who are we targeting? Are we targeting these people that have never tried anything? Or are we targeting these people that have tried a bunch of stuff, failed? Because as an expert, to build authority, you have to throw rocks at other things, throw rocks at the enemies. So that could be other business models, other ways to lose weight, like keto, if you're doing, I don't know, just other ways of getting that outcome. You want to throw rocks at it, throw rocks at the enemy, and then also you'll be able to validate their pains and desires because you understand that they've done this or they've tried this, and you can tell them, hey, it's okay, I know this is tough, like that's going to help you resonate with them further. So again, it's important to understand where they're at, sophistication level. for your marketing, your messaging, video sales letter, the whole shebang. Like you need to know all of this. It's very important. And then another important question, this says it's fucking important. What's the one big question you have about doing X with X or starting X or whatever, starting this vehicle? Then vehicle is just a term I use to get to your desired situation, from your current situation to your desired situation with whatever way the creator did it or you did it. So yeah, so I would say this question is really good because it helps you figure out people's like main objection to this vehicle. So that lets you pre-handle objections in your content, in your VSL, basically just in everything. You're able to answer it, and then that's just like one less level of friction that you have to overcome in order to get the sale. Okay. So, and then how much would it take to replace your current income with X? Now, this is if it's like a make money online offer. That's kind of the question I would say, because you're not just asking, hey, how much do you make? It's how much would it take to replace your current income with X? So it's a little bit more of a subtle way of asking how to make, or it's a little more subtle way. How much would it take to replace your current income with X is a lot more subtle than saying how much are you making right now, right? And maybe if you're doing real estate, like how much do you have to invest into whatever properties? Like there's a lot of ways to frame it. The main thing is you just don't want to ask it directly. You could even say like, how much is it worth to you getting to desired outcome? Like how much, and then you can put like the different pricing options. And I would even recommend asking, you can ask like an annual income, because typically people are more transparent with that rather than if you ask a monthly income, is what I've found with a lot of the forms I've done. So again, this is going to financially qualify leads so that you're going to be able to sell them, which I'll get into a little bit later. And right, so what's motivating you to get X with X or to start X? So this is important because you can get the pains and desires. This is, like I mentioned earlier, very important for the content. To be able to resonate with that person, you have to understand them, and you have to understand them better than they know themselves. And we're going to create a super in-depth avatar later in this video, so you'll be able to do that pretty easily. So yeah, and then again, you're collecting contact info. I would collect the contact information last, because it's like people are already way more bought in. So just so you want like a higher completion rate of the type form, I would just have that as the last question rather than the first one. And then yeah, so the end screen, you kind of want to tease that if they get a call from like you or a closer or like a setter or someone or a dialer, you should have someone reach out to them so that you can start a pre-sale. And like I mentioned, I'm going to get into that in a bit. But yeah, look out for a call or email based on your response over the next few days. If you qualify, we'll reach out to you about beta access for something we're building. So something along the lines of this, the main key point that you want to understand is that you want to make them feel special if they get a call. So just frame that on the end screen of the type form is really beneficial to having a higher pickup rate. And just when they get that call, it's like they're going to be almost selling themselves to you in a way. So yeah, and then also just a little like quick hack. So you can use SendBlue or another similar software, and you can message these people before you actually call them. Hey, this is John reaching out from Thomas's team. Saw your feedback form and thought it would be good to blah blah blah. And if you mention your name in that, then automatically when you call them afterwards, instead of it just being a random number, it's gonna say maybe John. Okay, so instantly that pickup rate is gonna be a lot higher because it's not gonna be a random number. It's just gonna say maybe John. So that's a good little just hack to have more people actually pick up the phone once you dial them there. Okay, so now we're gonna get into creating our avatar, our ICP, our ideal customer profile, and really make this in depth so that we can target them in the messaging. And this is gonna be probably the most important part of the video. So really stick around, and I'm gonna use something called Poppy AI. it helps. It has a bunch of different AIs in it, but it helps you organize the data, and I really enjoy using it for things like this. Okay, so how Poppy AI actually works is it's kind of like a diagram with AI, so it's easy to be organized and add like different inputs. So for this, it's pretty useful. Okay, so before we get into the prompts and kind of what I did, this is the CSV file here of all the Typeform responses. So you just want to throw that in here, and you can just upload that as a document, and then you should be able to select it. And then what I've done here is I've added, as a creator, you should have some sort of unique selling proposition. So it's kind of your story and your whole journey. You can just pause the video here if you want to read through this. But I just put like a random example of some affiliate person. They did affiliate marketing. So Ethan, the names here are not cohesive. Ethan, Steve, and John. This is all kind of one person, so not to add any confusion. But yeah, this is basically just like a quick little story. And you want to obviously put yours here and then just connect it. And then, so yeah, just ignore that the name is different. But yeah, I gave it the data, and you can just literally just copy this prompt. I'll kind of just go through it slowly. Okay, and then what it's gonna do is, first off, we're giving it all our data on our audience's current situation, desired situation, and then unique selling proposition. And then we want it to create an avatar based on the data we give it. So we want it to describe its current avatar, or its background and its current lifestyle, its occupation, financial situation, how satisfied they are, and yeah, just a bunch of stuff. You can read this all. You can just pause the video, and then yeah, then it actually gave us, Steve is a mid-level manager in a corporate setting working in the finance sector. His daily routine involves managing a team, attending meetings, ensuring that financial reports are accurately, blah blah blah. No one cares. So it just kind of just goes over and gives like an in-depth of each, his financial situation. He's satisfied but is eager to advance. His main concerns include job security and ability to provide for his family. Yeah, and this just gives you a really in-depth breakdown. Again, you can just kind of pause this and read it. I'll just kind of like read some of it. He's married, he has 2 kids. He values products that offer convenience, efficiency. Your consulting business offers personalized career coaching and strategic blah blah blah. Okay. This aligns with the goal of achieving higher income. Okay. Before it would even tell you like what objection you'd have to handle, kind of, he might hesitate due to considerations about cost and time commitment required, so you can handle that in your video sales letter. Now I'll get into, you wouldn't actually have a video sales letter for the pre-sale process in order to collect cash up front, and there's a few reasons why, and I'll get to that in a bit. So however, the tipping point for Steve would be a clear demonstration of potential return on investment. Okay, and now I asked, what keeps Steve awake at night? Focus on the problems he faces, respond with a very short story. Focus on the fears, so problems, fears, and desires. And this is just gonna like make it so easy to make like infinite content, right? Because you just have so much ammo to use against these people, and you literally understand them more than they understand themselves. He's staring at his ceiling, his mind's racing with thoughts of upcoming quarterly review. The pressure to perform and fear of letting his team down weigh heavily, haunted by the memory of previous job loss, the fear of unexpected layoffs, the thoughts of having explained to his children. Like, this is so, you can use this. He worried about how he would support. The fear of another unexpected layoff loomed large in his mind. Like, you can use that so nicely in your marketing when you just like kind of shit on 9-to-5s and like say how 9-to-5s aren't that good. You can use like how you think it's secure, but you can just get laid off at any point. And so there's just so much ammo here that you can use. And the more you get, the more you have. So you really want to incentivize people to actually do the market, to complete the feedback form, the market research form, so that you have as much ammo as possible. Better future. This is like his desires. He longed for the day where he could confidently provide for his family. As he drifts into a light sleep, he resolves. Okay, yeah, cool. Okay, so now that we know what keeps him up at night, keeps Steve, Ethan, or whatever the other one was, John, we can get into kind of the key features and how you can use the data that you just got to help you structure that. So you kind of just want to copy this, and then what it's going to give you is all the benefits of each feature. Because you're selling beta access, you're selling the outcome, not the actual feature. So you want to keep that in mind. And so you want to understand the value of each feature. So you can do group calls with Ethan, community, beta access modules. It just says modules, but beta access modules in the sense that they're not out yet when they join. They're going to be built with those first people, because you have to understand that people go off of status. That's a very deep thing, that everything you do, whether you realize it or not, is it moving me towards a higher status or lower status? You avoid things that lower it and do things that heighten it. Being the first and like having exclusive early access or beta access, that raises someone's status because A, they have proximity to that creator, and B, they are the first to do something. So it's good to sell beta access. So you can literally sell this whole thing pretty much instantly. And then you can even do like some one-on-one onboarding calls or like one-on-one calls. You don't want to do too many features. The more features you add, the less valuable they become. So I would stick with like 3 to 5. And yeah, so this kind of just tells you the benefit of each feature. Whoops. So yeah, pretty good stuff. Poppy is really good, like especially if you have more stuff. Once you start creating your VSL, you can start plugging in a lot more things and it becomes a lot more useful. Okay, number 6. This is my favorite part, collecting cash ASAP. So what you're gonna have to understand is that these people that are filling out your market research form, these are most likely your instant buyers or your like early adopters. And that's typically like 5 to 10% of your audience. It depends how many followers you have, what you're selling. Like there's a lot of variables, but there is like I want to say like not a binary, kind of like a spectrum. You have these first like 5-10% of people that will kind of just buy anything that you have. And then there's going to be a big gap in the middle where these are like the swing buyers or people that you kind of have to tip one way or the other. And then there's another like percentage of people at the end who will just never buy anything from you. So you're getting these first people who will kind of buy anything from you. And if you have at least some sort of brand, like you need some brand. If you're just a random guy, they're probably not gonna buy something from you. But if you have some sort of brand and you have a transformation, then you'll have these instant buyers where you don't have to worry about too much about having like a video sales letter, warming them up. These are people already kind of ready to buy, which means you'll be able to do a pre-sale and you'll be able to sell to them. And most likely these people have filled out your market research form. So you'll be able to sell them. And the way I would sell them is you have your market research form, you've sent all this information, like I mentioned earlier in the collecting the info and storing it. You send it over to Slack and Go High Level. So you have all these leads that are qualified and unqualified. Now you can dial them, qualify them even further, and book them onto a closing call. What this is going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to validate your offer very quickly before you, let's say, do a public launch or you record a VSL or you build a whole landing page. Like before you build all this other stuff, you'll be able to just quickly do a pre-sale, dial the qualified leads, qualify them, make sure you don't even have to qualify them that much. I would lead with less friction and get them on a closing call. And now you can sell them the features that I mentioned when we were doing the AI avatar, creating the ICP, is you can sell the group calls, onboarding calls, community, and the beta access modules, which means you can basically sell it instantly. So that's what I would do. And then you can validate the offer quickly, the pricing, whatever, and they get beta access. And like I mentioned before, they get they feel more important and more special. And what this allows you to do is it allows you to also get more market research, because you're going to start finding out even more in depth of what these people's pains and desires are on these calls. So it's just additional market research. I would record these calls and then you can upload them to Poppy, and then that's going to help you create the video sales letter, because you're going to have more you're gonna have more data on the lead. And so you can literally just like sell the emotion, like whatever pains they give you, you tell them that this is gonna solve that pain. Obviously it has to, but that's why you don't really need a video sales letter, and you can really just sell almost instantaneously and just collect money up front, and you'll have more data, and this is going to be super crucial. So yeah, I would also do this as fast as possible, because people will just get colder as the lead will get colder as time goes on. And so you can just start dialing these leads like within like 5 minutes of them filling out the application, and get them on a closing call with you or a closer or yourself, whoever you have. And that's going to be the way to collect the most cash up front. So this is kind of the first part of the series that I'm going to be doing on how I won the school game. So this is the first part of it. So I'm going to be creating more videos on offers, VSLs, sales funnels, sales processes, like the whole everything.